Alright, so in this guide, I'm going to teach you how to add particles to your fakemon for Cobblemon. So the first step that you need to do is have your texture for the particles. So I have mine in here. If you just go into textures, I have this basic sleeping animation that I'm going to use as my example. So as I just showed, what you need to do with that is you put it into assets, go up Cobblemon, textures, make a thing called particle, and then put it in there. So then after you have that, you need to go to this website of snowstorm.app. This is the thing that Cobblemon uses to model particles. It's also very widely used outside of Cobblemon, but yeah, whatever. So up here at the top left, this is the identifier. This is what basically you call your particle effect. So it for Cobblemon, it has to always start with Cobblemon colon and then whatever you want your name is. So mine is sleep underscore zzz. I mean that's what it is, sleeping. So the simplest way that I found to do all of this, because it's kind of confusing, is you open up another tab of Snowstorm.app and you immediately go to import and you just take Cobblemons. So if I just go over here into the Cobblemon folder, assets, Cobblemon, particles, no, assets, Cobblemon, bedrock, particles, and then in here are all of the Snowstorm files. So if I just copy this and then go back into here, file, import, and then I just paste that. And then since I'm using the smoke plume one because it goes up, that's what I'm going to be using. But you can choose any of these examples. So as you can see, there's all of these things. So basically, the entire thing of what we're doing for this part is mostly just copying what this has. But there's going to be some very slight differences depending on what you want. So first of all, you take the variable.grow, which you put into curves here, make a new one, variable, type in grow, if I can type. So you want it to be linear, and then particle, age, particle, lifetime, all of that. So then you click on this, this says 0, click on this, this is 0.48. So you want to go to the second one and type in 0.48. Do the same for the third one, 1.64, and then that part's done. So then we move on to the next part, the emitter. This is somewhat self-explanatory. It's how fast you want it to spew out particles. So I have mine here. I like to set it to 2, and this is the maximum amount of particles you can have at one time. So if you set it to like a higher number of the rate, then you can this would matter. But since it's so low, you will never hit that maximum unless you make it like 5. So we go to, yeah, I guess we just go to appearance here. So in here it says uses the variable.grow as the size. So you just type that in, and then you type this in, and then that's all done there. So then you continue on to motion. Once again, it's self-explanatory. This is just the direction it goes in and the speed. So direction, you want to set that to custom. And then if you want it to go upwards, you set 0, 1, 0. So it goes up in the Y direction. So it's X, Y, Z. And then speed, you can just set that to whatever. Higher speed, the faster it moves. I'm going to just set the speed to like 1.5. Acceleration, drag, you don't really need to worry about that, but acceleration just, yeah, you know what that means. Rotation, we're not going to be using that here, but you can mess around with that if you'd like. And then lifetime, just how long the particles last. I'm gonna set that to 1.5 because that's what it says here. And then texture. This is the important part of this. So you can choose file and then go through into where you put that texture folder. So if I just go back over here, copy the location, paste that in, and I'm going to be using this. So as you can see, it looks really weird because what happens here is it's taking the entire thing, the whole texture file. So all of these Z's are compressed into a very small area. As you can see, it's a 16 by 192 photo. So what you want to do is set the texture size, as it says here, to 1 in 12. And then if you start at 0, and then you have to copy this. Math, floor, variable, whatever. This is very important because once you put this in, it'll start oh yeah, you have to set these to 1. And then it will start taking the actual pictures. If you would like to change the size of your particles, so instead of being 12 pixels tall, then you can change them to whatever. You just need to change this texture size to however many pixels tall that each particle part is, and you change the math random function here. You just change the 12 to, once again, however many pixels tall your thing is. And then for the most part, this is done. You don't need to mess around with anything else. This is it, as long as you see that your particle is working as you like in here. So, now that this is all done, you can just file, download, and that'll save your file. So, for now, I'm just going to put that there. And then, basically, what you need to do is you go into your texture pack, and you go into Cobblemon, Bedrock, and you need to make a folder that says particles, and then you put the JSON file in there. So you just drag this in here, but I already have it in there. But that's what you would do. Make sure make sure that it says sleep underscore or just whatever your name is .particle.json. It has to be like that, and the file would look something like this. And one very important thing that I just remembered, I forgot to mention, this texture path. This is, as I just said, the path that it has to look to find your texture. Starting from where it goes into assets here. So you would have to type in Cobblemon, if I can type. So Cobblemon / and then you go into that, and you need to do Cobblemon / texture / particle / particle / and then whatever your file name is. So mine here is z_anim, so that's what I would type in. So this is actually, this time, the correct thing that you're meant to have. This will make it so it completely works once everything else here is done. So then you can go ahead and download that and whatever. Put it into this folder that I showed you earlier. So then the next step, once you have all of that, is to go into here, and in just the assets Cobblemon in here, make a particles folder. And then in that particles folder, just make a random JSON file called snowstorm.json. Inside of it, this is going to be where it specifies the textures that the snowstorm will use. So you just have to have this. Just type this in and change z_anim to whatever your name is. So the name of your texture file is. So then the next step is to go ahead and open up Blockbench. And then I'm just going to go ahead and open up my little guy here. I'm just going to go ahead and import my texture. So then what you need to do once you have your model here, you need this thing, which is called an anchor, or I'm not sure what exactly it's called, but it's called a locator. Yeah, that's what it is, locator. So with how to make this locator is you go ahead and in here in your overall file, you right click, add locator, name it whatever, and then drag it up to wherever you want your particles to be coming from. So this is where your particles will originate from. By default, it will send your particles going straight downwards. You can just go ahead and rotate it to whatever. I want mine to be -180, so it goes upwards. I already have that here in this locator I made. So this is where I'm going to have the particles come from, and they're going to go upwards. So you have to go ahead and go into your animate, and then I'm just going to go ahead and import my animations that I have. This is my sleep animation. I just put it in the ground idle so it would appear in game easily. So as you can see, there's no particles here. But when I bring up all animators, so basically what you need to do in order to make these particles show up, you need to go into animate effects, and then that'll bring up this. This particle one is what you're going to be messing with. So you need to go ahead and select your locator here, which mine is the 6Zs. And then here in the effect part, you select the file, and what you got to do is go ahead and go to Assets, Cobblemon, Bedrock, and then into this Particles folder. Select the JSON that you made. And then the second one is going to be asking for the texture. So you go through to Textures, Particle, and in there. So then as you can see now, it's going to be shooting up the Z's, or whatever your particle effect would be. So this is mostly complete, as is. All you have to do now is export your file. So export your geometry file again, your model file. And then you have to export your animations again. I'm just going to go ahead and assume that you already know how to do all that and where to put it since you're looking at this guide. But with the whole Bedrock and Models and Animations folders. So that is basically everything. Now that you have all of it in your texture pack, you just got to make sure to actually put it into your resource packs folder, and then you can boot up the game. So, now that you have Minecraft open, you go into your single player world that you have your data pack into. Once you make sure to put on the texture pack again in your resource packs section in the options menu, just gotta load in real quick. And then if you go ahead and just take a look at your Pokemon, then the particles should be showing up according to where you had that locator and at the speed and direction of where you specified in the Snowstorm website. If you have any questions or if it's not working, just comments below, and I'll probably get back to you. And yeah, have a great day.